Okay, let's not overthink this. Welcome back to another episode of Sir Plays. In today's episode, Sir plays Mario Kart 8 on the Nintendo Switch. And if you don't know, it's Waluigi Gang all day, every day, just so you know. So today's commentary is not a live commentary. I'm actually, I'm playing the footage back and actually looking at what I'm doing. And it's just that I noticed that on live commentaries, it's so damn hard to get a train of thought out of me while I'm also concentrating at the game. Somehow this is slightly different. I am still looking at my gameplay. So shout out to Waluigi one time. The race is about to start. Yeah, check out your boys drifting. Okay. So I've managed to still distract myself from it, but it's fine. So I just wanted to bring a casual, another one of these casual Sunday conversations type of thing. And, I had some things that I wanted to talk about and maybe, spark some thinking in your own mind. If you're so inclined, leave a comment in the comment section below, have a discussion there, or just DM me, because most of the people that watch this actually know who I am. So just DM me and we'll talk. But basically, I came to the conclusion that I don't like my phone. And on its surface, that might be like, wait, what the heck does that mean? For context, I have the Pixel 3. It's not physically the phone that I have a problem with. It has an excellent camera. Battery life is decent. It has a pretty nice screen. Whatever, right? Hardware. It's fine. It's a phone. It makes calls. You can view email. It is what it is. It's weird that we live in this culture where phones are so glorified and, I'm a tech guy, right? Like, that's my background. I'm a tech enthusiast, and I also work with technology for a living. And I gotta say, man, I'm kind of over this whole romanticization. That's not even a word. It's this romanticized view of a phone, like whatever, like it's a tool. Like the fact that we still have like these huge technology conferences where the guy is standing up on stage and just showing this rectangle, and everybody's like, "Ooh, this is the next thing." It's like, I'm kind of over it, and so. I'm actually not talking about the phone as a physical thing. I'm talking about more so the phone in the context of what it has become in my life. And, I've experimented for the past day just being away from my phone entirely. And I instantly felt better. Honestly, I wish I could stay away from it for much longer. But that's not possible. Because, people want to communicate with you and stuff. But I am learning to cherish any moment I can spend without it. This is just a random side note, but I really do admire my roommate's ability to just, sit with a good book and read into the night. Something I admire in him, and something that a habit that I hope to build in within myself, because, man, every time I read, I have a side thought about reading, and it's that, why don't I do this more often? Reading really is amazing in so many ways, and it's partially because writing is so amazing. The way you can share thoughts through things that are written, it allows you to hear the ideas of people that you would never speak to in person, or you can't speak to in person. You can read the ideas of dead people. I have a lot of thoughts about reading and writing as mediums for communication, and that's part of why I do some of the things that I do. This is just like a different medium for me to communicate my thoughts, and aside from the mindless entertainment and watching Waluigi flip as a blue shell gets thrown at my face yet again. Counting about the blue shells that I get hit by, and look, there's a red shell, like, of course. But yeah, this is just another medium for me to express myself in a slightly different way. And so I had a phone call yesterday getting back to what I was talking about, I had a phone call yesterday that kind of set the tone for the rest of my day, which was kind of slightly filled with anxiety. The person I spoke to, I consider to be the physical embodiment of anxiety. No matter how clear my head is before that call, afterwards, it's surely different. And I knew how I felt and how I wanted to get better. And so I knew that I'd be better staying away from my phone. You know, when you're not feeling all the way there, the worst thing to go on is social media, because it's just going to compound things like tenfold. And so that brought me some relief. Then I started watching some shows. I don't know if you guys are into anime, but the new season of My Hero came out. And so I was watching that. Another episode of Fire Force came out, so I watched that. And then earlier this week, I started watching Soul Eater. And I'm enjoying that because it's by the makers of Fire Force. That show actually came out before Fire Force. And then I got back into Fairy Tail after, watching it probably like a year ago. I came back into it and started enjoying it again. Those shows kind of take your mind off things, but it only lasts for a little bit, And I started watching YouTube, and man, I felt right back into it. I started watching the content of people that I admire, and at the same time kind of hoping that I had their same skill level. And you start playing that comparison game, and that's never great. So I got off of that too, and I was like, I'm just not going to do that. So I decided to do some writing, because writing has always been a format that I felt that always allows me to express exactly what's going on in my mind. And so it kind of allows my idea to exit from my mind and actually have a presence outside of it. And so then I just started writing everything I could so I can kind of get to the bottom of it. And you know what? It really did make me question my motivation behind some of the things I do. Every now and again, you kind of owe it to yourself to reassess the things you do and why you do them, and just make sure that, you're on the path that you wanted to be on, that the goals you're achieving are for you and not for anyone else. And also that your goals aren't like thinly veiled behind some bad motivations. And so that really did help me reassess. Then I started reading, call back to what I said about my roommate. I'm reading a book called A Man's Search for Meaning. It follows the time a psychiatrist spent during Nazi Germany, during World War II, or like right before it. And reading that book really did a number of things to me. First, it started putting things into perspective of what the worst case scenario might be. And while my life is nowhere near that guy's, somehow he was able to cope. And somehow that makes me think, man, like, I didn't read it to minimize my own problems, but it really does put things into perspective and make you realize just how small problems are initially. And so I really do find that the brain does a good job of making a glass of water seem like the ocean. And so after I read that, I cleared my head up a little bit more. Then I went out to go ride my one wheel. I don't know, man. There's something about riding something where you could potentially die that really keeps your mind off other things. I've been riding it about 2 months or so, and I'm not ready to commute with it, but I really do like it as just like a general cruising around the block type of thing. And so while I was riding, I was listening to a podcast, Tim Ferriss's podcast. I recommend it if, you want to think beyond the garbage that gets presented to us all the time. And he was interviewing this guy named Tristan Harris, which, if you're not familiar, he's the guy that kind of spearheaded the move behind some of the features you might find on your phone related to digital well-being and screen time. Basically, he's advocating for keeping the phone as a tool, which was what it was supposed to be, instead of, succumbing to what these companies want, which is all of your attention. And so we spend all of our attention on these platforms, social media and whatnot. And then we don't, it's trying to fill this void in our life that is actually not making it any better, because all we're doing is comparing ourselves and just not feeling great. And so I was listening to that and I really put some things into perspective. And then somehow I got into, I was looking up stuff about Buddhism and stuff, and I really do like their metaphor for how life is, and how it's like life is suffering, and relief from suffering is tied to kind of moderating your desires. And that overwhelmingly resonates with an American life where seemingly everything is tied to what we desire, such as success and money and material goods. I'm not going to turn into a monk now, but reading that really made me wonder about who I am when I'm not chasing something. And I don't know who that is. Living in America, you're taught to chase things from a very young age, and that chase seemingly never stops. There's always something new, and I don't know if I like that, but it's definitely something to think about. So I'm gonna conclude this episode right here. I hope you enjoy this episode of philosophical Mario Kart. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.